Today on Exploring Scotland's History, we're going to have a look at
how does Julie make her videos for her Exploring Scotland's History channel? Let's find out. Now this video is a response to some people who have commented on Julie's channel, Exploring Scotland's History, asking how she makes her videos. So I thought the best way for me to explain that is for me to go along with her on one of her trips and film what she does and just record it all, and then I can explain it to you now. Now, before I get into explaining how she makes the videos, we have to ask the question Julie asks before she starts filming, before she even picks up the camera. She asks herself, why is she making the video? She has to have a purpose for that video. In this case, the purpose was handed to her on a plate. Now, I'll let Julie explain that purpose.
the purpose of my video is really a response to one of the members in the history group. My last video, they had commented on a particular castle. It's called the Castle of the Red Maiden. They thought it was in the loch that I'd done the video on, but it's on a different loch, and I thought, well, in response to him, I now have a video with a purpose. I can now go and explore the loch that he meant in his comment. So there. That's it.
Now, as it happens, we already know a little bit about this loch and the area around it. But before we head out the door, Julie has to do more research. Lots and lots of research. And more research and more research. Now, while Julie's doing that, I've got a few things I need to take care of. I still need to go and check, can we park there? Can we drive there? Are we going to need to hike in? Are we going to have to take the canoe? All that kind of stuff. It just so happens in this case it is a canoe trip, so I've got quite a few things I need to prepare. I'll start off by checking the various maps. Let's say looking for parking, because I need to drive up and get close to the loch with the canoe. We need to make sure we can drive up the road, whether it's a private road or if it's a public accessible road. Now, since this is going to be a canoe trip, we have to check the weather. We'll check the basics, we'll check the Met Office website. More importantly, we'll check the Wind Finder website. Canoes are quite susceptible to winds, so that site's an absolute must. One other thing that's worth checking is Google Street View. As many of the places that Julie visits are well off the beaten track, Street View is very handy because if the road appears on Street View, there's a very good chance it's a public road. If it doesn't appear, it's likely a private road. It also gives you an idea of the condition of the road and whether it's suitable for a car. In this case, it's a very twisty, narrow, poor condition road down the side of a loch halfway up the hill. Now, there's one other thing we should check before we go. Something Julie does quite regularly when she's making a video, is we'll just look for Google Images of the site. It gives you an idea of what you can film, what you can expect to see, how accessible it will be. In this particular case, it's going to be relevant because of the amount of undergrowth. We're quite early in the year, so the undergrowth hopefully won't be too bad, but looking at some of the pictures we've seen, the island is quite overgrown. So fingers crossed it won't be too bad tomorrow and we'll actually manage to get to it. It wouldn't be the first time we've failed. Now, another thing we need to get ready before we go out is the camera gear. Make sure everything's charged up, plenty of free space and memory for storing files. Make sure we've got all the little bits and pieces of equipment we might need other than just the cameras. Julie uses quite a simple setup. She just uses her phone and a kind of small mini tripod. She'll take an assortment of lenses that she uses for maybe like macro photography, that kind of thing, or maybe a wide angle. If I'm going along with her, I'll just take everything. I'll take the gimbal, I'll take the DSLR with the zoom lens, flash, I'll take other tripods, various fixtures and fittings and backup stuff, spare microphones, that kind of thing, just in case. You don't want to get all the way to where you're going to film and find you're short of a bit of kit or something doesn't work or there's some reason you can't film. Now, Julie has all her research done. We have all the details on how we're getting there, where we're going to park, how we're getting to the water. We have got all the canoe gear packed up in the Jeep. The camera gear's all checked over and packed. We have checked the Jeep over to make sure it's going to get us there in one piece. everything's ready to go. Time to set off. Now the drive down, wow, what a road. That was so much fun. Now, as with all of the best laid out plans, this one turned out to be a bit of a fail. My location I'd planned to park, turns out it used to be a Forestry Commission car park. It looks like it's been bought over by an angling club. They also blocked off access to the shore at that point. So we had to drive probably another mile or so down the road, found a nice wee grass bank to park on, and then we had to wheel the canoe about half a mile up the road to find an accessible bit of the bank to get into the water. Now, because we had to start off in a location that we hadn't planned, it was a bit more difficult getting the canoe into the water along with the gear. A bit of a wrestle getting a 50 kilogram canoe down the hill. Once we got it in the water, it wasn't too much of a problem. We then had a big bank of reeds to try and fight our way through as well, which again wasn't in the plan, but we managed it. So we arrived at the island after quite a nice pleasant paddle. What we hadn't thought to do was to check which side of the island the castle was on. We glanced at the maps and just thought, oh, it's not too big an island, it'll be quite easy to find. Now, when we first started looking for the castle, that's when Jolie decided to inform me that the reports she'd read on this castle hadn't been updated for 40 years. Now, since that was such a long time ago, we couldn't even be sure what state the castle was in, so we didn't really even know what we were looking for. Right, that's us on the island. So, first thing we normally do is take a wee wander around and see, well, basically get our bearings. This is a beautiful wee island. Now, we scrambled around the island for a while. At this point, we'd ascertained that it was the north side of the island that the castle was on. We kind of fought our way through some of the undergrowth, came across lots of piles of stones, but nothing looking like a castle. It's accessible that way, but it's not very easy. I don't think that's the best way up. So we're going to go back in the canoe, head round the other side of the island and see if we can get to it from the other side. Now, from what we'd read, it's meant to be a 3-storey wall left, but from what I've seen up there, I don't see any 3-storey walls. You said it was 40 years ago that report was written?
Yeah, I think it's 79 or so the last
So we jumped back in the canoe and headed back around the island to see if we got a better view from out in the water. It was on this trip back round the island again that Julie spotted it up in the tree line. It was the remains of one high wall, what we'd initially been looking for. We were quite relieved to see that there was some remaining, so we would get some footage of a castle. It was then a case of getting back to the shore, back to the same point we started off at, but at least knowing exactly where we were going this time. Now at this point we'd found the castle, we knew it was there, we knew we were able to get some footage of it. So this is when Julie starts thinking where she's going to start filming. You're going to start filming, yeah?
I've been filming.
Yeah, you've been filming B-roll. You've got all your dialogue to do.
Yes, but I've been filming. I always film extra B-roll just in case that the place we're going to would be inaccessible, or just in case I find something else out that I have to research when I go home and do voiceover and that. So yes, I've started filming. Okay. That undergrowth I was talking about. Yeah, well, yeah. This is Julie climbing up on her hands and knees. This is what she does for her videos. I'll just do it there, I'll go for it. Now up to this point, Julie had only really filmed the introduction and a few little bits and pieces. I'd got some canoe footage and some driving footage, that kind of thing, to carry the story of the trip along to that point. We then had to film the castle, which was the interesting part. Now Julie's videos come across quite polished and you don't see the amount of effort that she puts in to get to these places. This footage should hopefully clarify exactly what it's like trying to find castles that haven't been visited for 40 years.
It's not that uncommon on trips like this to come away with a few cuts and bruises. Now this is where Julie's notes and her research come into their own. It means that she can just find a nice background, point the camera at herself and just tell the stories, just rhyme them off fluidly.
Away up in that undergrowth, the young man went to say was McDougall's, and it was a land smaller contingent of McDougall's to carry on the Fine Gael. That's all gone, peak tongue, right? Shoot. What? 3, 2, 1. Except for one McDougall. A McDougall who was some or other. Incidentally, it's worth saying, no, it's not. There was an interesting, no, what am I going to say? So in his absolute pent-up rage,
Now, one of the most important aspects in Julie's videos, if you were to ask Julie herself, is they have to have content. There has to be some information being put across in the video. That's what her videos are all about. But on top of just having the content, they have to look good as well.
So what, where'll I get the wheelie bin side of the road? 3, 2, 1. So what is a penny land?
Now that's something Julie's quite adamant about, is making sure that when she's filming she's got a nice backdrop. No filming in front of wheelie bins or telegraph poles or building sites. It's make sure it looks nice. Now sometimes that means taking a slightly unconventional approach to filming. Rather than just standing in front of the camera and talking at it, sometimes you need to get a little bit more creative. This is a good example. Here you can see a nicely composed shot with Julie just talking straight to the camera with a nice background. In actual fact, it's the tripod wrapped around a tree branch and Julie standing up to her ankles in water. But you don't see that on Julie's video. Now, Julie's got quite a few more stories to do, so she's going to go up there a nice wee picturesque bit and get some nice backgrounds to tell her stories. While she's doing that, I'll go down and get some more B-roll and get a few photographs and a few other bits and pieces that she can stick into a video.
Before we head off to find other sites, can we go back round and get some more footage of the beautiful castle from the water with the beautiful sun on the beautiful castle? Yes, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Often once the main dialogue's been filmed, we'll set off and get a little bit more footage. In this case, another canoe trip around the island. Now that we had that final footage, it was time to load the canoe back up and head back out onto the loch. We then had the short trip back through the reed bed, back to shore, drag the canoe back up the hill, load it back onto the cart, drag it along the road and back to the jeep. Right, that's us back at the jeep. Time to load it all back up and head off to the next place. What have you got in mind?
There is a house and the associated lands I want to cover, and there's an old Rovers Road.
Oh, that's the one we passed up at the house.
I think it's close to the house.
Yeah.
So it's
Cool.
not too bad, just a couple of stops on the way home.
Cool. Alright. She's probably found a standing stone or something. An old headstone. She better not have found a graveyard. We'll be here for weeks. Now anytime Julie's researching for a video, she'll make a point of researching other places in the same kind of localised area. Not only does that give her the opportunity to put some extra content into the video, but it means that should there be some reason we can't film the main site, it's not a wasted trip. She'll still get a video from it. And that's the filming stage done. Next up, editing. Editing. The most time-consuming part of the whole process. Now, I'm not going to give you all the technical details and tell you exactly what's going on. That would take weeks. What I'll do is I'll give you a brief overview of how Julie edits together a video. Now, first off, she uses Magic's Movie Edit Pro Plus. Not quite professional level, but it's not far from it. Now, the first thing she'll do before she loads her clips into the editor is she'll collate them all into the one place and go through them one by one and rename them. She'll categorise them by dialogue and by topic, so she can then easily pick out particular talking head footage where she's talking about a specific subject. She'll also name all of her pans and any of her B-roll. She'll give them a particular title and again what they relate to in terms of topic. It just makes it far, far easier to organise the timeline later on when she's putting the video together. It then comes time to sequence the clips. Julie will already have an idea in her head on the order she wants to put them together in, the order she wants them to play back. So she'll drop each of those categories or each of those topics onto the timeline in the order she wants to play them. Now each of these blocks or topics, she'll organise them into chapters. Now she'll start off by taking these talking headshots in these chapters and she'll just clip them just to tidy them up so you've got just the conversation. When she's doing that, she'll be checking the sound as well to make sure it's acceptable and it's usable footage. Now once the dialogue shots are ordered and she has a rough idea how they're going to come out, she'll then move on to looking at the pan layer and any photographs or any additional footage she wants to put over the top. She'll pay attention to using some of these to cover up any jumps in the dialogue footage. Now once the chapters are laid out the way she wants them, she'll look at the gaps between the chapters and how to bridge them together. What Julie will do is she'll pull in some pans or photographs to break up each chapter and kind of change the pace, give it a more cinematic feel. She'll then add in some text titles for the chapters and any additional info that may be relevant to that particular clip. At that stage, she has now got the kind of general story of that trip and the site she's visiting. She'll give it a full watch through, edit out any additional frames or any little bits that don't need to be there, just a kind of general tidy up. Once it's tidied, it's time to add music. Now, she has to find the right music for a start, trim the music down to the right length so it matches the clip. Then she'll go in and change the audio settings on the music track itself. She'll then use the graphic equaliser on the music track to draw down the frequencies where the speech would be. It just makes the speech cut through the music a little bit better. She'll then have her chapters organised, the gaps joined between the chapters. She'll have the music over the top and she'll have her text. Now she'll watch it through again. Now a final watch through will actually be 6 final watch throughs with slight edits each time until you're finally happy with it. When you're finally happy with it, you then render it in the software and that gives you your final output file ready to upload, which you then give another final watch through, just to be sure. Right, so the video's done. Now you need to make a thumbnail for it. Now Julie uses the Be Funky website to generate her thumbnails. She'll take a photograph or extract a photograph from the footage she's got that day and use that as the base for her thumbnail image. Now she'll upload the image to the website and then she'll go through and add in her text, choose the style she wants and just embellish the photograph a little bit. Now this is also quite time consuming, but this is the one thing that's going to draw any potential viewer's eye to the video. When someone searches for something on YouTube, you get dozens of results. And generally people will choose the one they want to watch based on the thumbnail. So it's worth spending that extra time developing a good thumbnail. Once the thumbnail's done, it's a case of getting some text together to upload with the thumbnail and the video. Just a quick description just so people can glance at it and have an idea, is that what they're looking for? Now Julie will have noted down when she's creating the chapters in the video, so that gives a nice convenient list of what's in it. She can then take those chapters and list them in the description, just with a little spiel about each one, just to explain what the video is about. That description is actually searchable within YouTube, so anyone looking for a specific site or a specific thing that Julie's talked about in a chapter, that will show up in the search. And it's time to upload. There are thousands of hours of videos get uploaded every day. That's how much effort goes into some of them. I hope you found that even remotely interesting. If you are interested, you can check out Julie's channel. You'll see all her videos up here. And if you want to check the video that we made while we were filming this, you'll get that one here. Thanks for watching.